o'clock, I will call the meeting of the Waxahachie Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Please let the record show that we have 6 trustees in attendance. I believe Mr. Schofield will be joining us at a later time. Also let the record show this meeting has been duly called and the notice of this meeting has been duly posted for time and manner required by law. First thing tonight is our board workshop. I'm going to do a discussion regarding our balanced scorecard with Dr. Gibson. Welcome, Dr. Gibson.
Thank you, and howdy, everyone. I'm feeling a little bit popular tonight. I'm doing this board meeting, and then I'm Zooming another one from Dr. Hollingsworth's office, and then I'm stopping by another one on the way home at 9 p.m. where they've moved me to the end of the agenda. Yeah, right. My wife says I'm not doing a good job at that. She was griping a little bit, and then I set up a separate bank account just for horse show stuff with my consulting, and she said, go get all of them you want to go get. Just get after it. So I do the work. She gets the benefit of it. So you're not paying me tonight by the hour or by the word, and I do have 3 meetings, so I'm going to use all my words up tonight. So I'm going to be brief because I know you guys have a full evening ahead of you, but I don't want my brevity to in any way indicate to you that the staff hasn't worked extensively on this process since the last time we talked. In fact, they'll probably look at you, and we spent some time together this last month. Is that fair to say, staff members? So part of tonight is to give you a quick summary of some of that work, but then show you what that looks like for you. And if I understand that there's no action item tonight, this is a May action item. Okay, so this is just simply, thank you. This is just simply to see if you have any questions on where we are at this point, and hopefully have everything ready for you by the May board meeting. So just as a reminder, as you see on the slide, that in November of 2021, you guys have done a lot of work on value setting, and first question from Dr. Hollingsworth was, will this integrate with that? And of course the answer was yes. We never had any meeting that we didn't have the core values up, probing and testing those against every single action that we took, and I think that proved to be a good approach, and it also modified at times the way we were thinking about a specific objective because we didn't want to get off track with the core values. I think to say multiple meetings is an understatement, and we have some more this week. I believe I'm Zooming. I saw you on the calendar the rest of the week to Zoom at least 2 times that I saw. And again, then tonight is just a quick update, and then in May, bring it back to the board for approval. And it probably is good. I think you have a blue packet. I hope.
Greg, I want to add that in. Yeah, in that blue packet, what y'all have is you have the 4 priority areas that we've identified, and we've got, and these are all draft. You've got draft versions of our performance objectives. Those are the things that y'all actually will adopt, that we'll bring to y'all for adoption in May. The other one that's got the yellow and the much, much smaller print, that's our working scorecard. It will get a little bit smaller as we get to our final product. It'll get a little bit shorter, so it's more of a scorecard instead of a score booklet, right? But it also, the columns 3, 4, and 5, those are ones that you're not adopting because those can change. So just wanted to remind y'all of that.
Yeah, and thank you, Dr. Hollingsworth. One way to look at that, let me just hold these two up. So the expanded version that Dr. Hollingsworth mentioned, and then this other packet is important. It's the same thing that's on the expanded version, but it's only column 1 and column 2, if that makes sense. And you'll see them on the slides. So the rationale behind that is that the strategic team, and if y'all remember, we started this talking about the strategic role, the front dais versus the tactical role, which a lot of the tactical team are sitting out here. The longer version is the collection of the work. For example, here's your 4 priorities, and then I'll move to the next slide. Student growth, priority 1, priority 2, honor and support staff, priority 3, community and stakeholder relationship, and priority 4, financial transparency. So then under the student growth, there are 4 performance objectives that the staff has outlined as the overarching drivers for the big rocks in the work, if you will. Something that you may be thinking about may not appear in something that you see here, and that does not necessarily mean that it is not important. It's just not as important as those 4. Now, I would argue that almost every activity or action, rather strategic action that we discussed, very easily parked within these 4 overarching performance objectives. And I want to, before we move on, I want to relay a thought that has recently been occurring to me as we're working with boards. And a board member said this to me from another district the other day. And we were going through the 4 priorities and then their 12 performance objectives. And he said, are you trying to get us where if someone stopped us in the elevator or the escalator at a TASB convention and asked us, what are y'all trying to accomplish in Waxahachie ISD, that we would have an answer to that question? And I hadn't thought about it in those terms, but I just said, yes, that's exactly right. It won't be, well, we're doing this, and we're doing that, and we're doing this. It will be probably reach in your notepad or reach in your packet, your information packet, and say, well, here's our 4 priority, and here are our 12 performance objectives. Then they might ask the question, well, how are you doing on them? And if we do this right, in a year, you'll have an answer for that question. You'll know what they are, and then after a year of systematically reviewing them, you'll have the answer for how we're doing on them.
Well, and the beauty of it is, and what we talk about with our staff is, it's not just the 7 of y'all knowing what these priorities are, it's a 2nd grade teacher knowing what they are, or, a junior English teacher and every principal knowing what our main priorities are.
Yeah, and we always say we want to get everybody on the same page. Well, y'all are literally creating a page. And, it's not just colloquialism now. I mean, you have a page, that we can look at the work. So the performance objectives under student growth, every student grows academically every year. I won't read every one of these. You all see that that's in the primarily in the 4 core areas. 1.2, every student understands the expected standards of behavior in the district and feels that their safety and well-being are a top priority. 1.3, each graduate is college, career, or military ready, and CCMR numbers will increase year over year. That's college, career, military readiness. and then annually increase student enrichment and involvement in extracurricular, UIL, and co-curricular. So again, inside those 4 buckets, there's numerous strategies that your senior leader team are working on, probably 20 different strategies that will fall in that, but you all will set the motion going forward on those strategies by adopting these objectives in May. So what that looks like in your bigger blown up version, and just again, remember, you're looking at in your packet at just column 1 and column 2. That's what you will adopt. We want the board to see column 3, column 4, and column 5, because that's where we're kind of digging into the work. When I look at the scorecard, you've got your priority and your strategic objective, and then you have your strategic actions that line up to that objective, and then you have lead measures, or how do we know that this action is working along the way, and then you have a lag measure or a summative measure at the end. That will be the year-end report where we report to the board, did we move the needle as far as we were, anticipated or not. I do want to ask the board to give the senior leader team a little bit of grace this year in particular, because a lot of the measures on some of the priority 1 are a little wonky right now. That's my high-tech term, coming out of pandemic. You may have to look back to 2019, the last time we had pre-pandemic numbers, and then compare that to where we are. So a little bit of grace on some of these. On some of the other ones, I'm not saying this happened here. In fact, I'll tell you, this happened in my district, the last district that I worked in. So like your 1.4, which is the extracurricular, I asked the staff to tell me what % of students were involved in extracurricular. And they told me, oh, it's 91 or 92%. And I don't know what yours is, and I don't care. That's not why I'm saying this. Well, when we actually got the numbers pulled in to make a scorecard report to the board, they were actually 62%. Well, okay, so it was 92% of the kids they knew were involved. That's the point. There's a group that we don't know that are not involved. And over time, I'll emphasize over time, drawing that spotlight to those kids that were not involved in more traditional mechanisms, we found ways to get them involved. There's pretty strong research to suggest that when students are involved in co-curricular and extracurricular, that attendance rates go up, discipline goes down, and academics go up as a result of those. So anyway, that's just to give you a little bit of flavor for how 1.4 might look over a 4-year period. All right, I'm going to go on through. And again, Dr. Hollingsworth stated, this is kind of blown up or expanded right now because we're doing some work in it, and then we're going to tighten it back down probably by the first time you see a monthly report later this summer or fall. Priority 2 is honor and support staff. The 3 overarching performance objectives, increase faculty and staff satisfaction and engagement, promote a collaborative culture which embeds the professional learning community. You'll know more about that, I assure you, before this year is over. And invest in staff growth through professionalized learning and specialized training. And I want to draw attention to your senior leader team did a great job. That doesn't say teachers on 2.3, it says staff. And so that once you put staff on that, you're talking plumbers, painters, teachers, principals, assistant principals. Everybody has a plan for professional development or training. So that was intentional, that's not accidental, and I think it's beautiful the way that it wound up. I'm going to go fast now, if that's all right, to keep you all on track. So again, the way that would look in the scorecard, you see the strategic actions, are in column 3. And then we're working on lead measures. You see a few blanks in here. Don't think that those blanks are an absence of work. That's trying to figure out how are we going to measure that? What is the best way to measure that? Priority 3, community and stakeholder relationships. 3 performance objectives, satisfaction engagement of students, satisfaction engagement of families, and satisfaction engagement of community and stakeholders. You might ask, what's the difference between 3.2 and 3.3? 3.3 is getting at community and stakeholders that are non-parent or non-family members. So those would be business partnerships, Could be a non-parent taxpayer, Chamber of Commerce. Those would be in your 3.3. Satisfaction is different than engagement. Satisfaction is just a general sense of I'm pleased, and engagement is I'm pleased and I'm involved. I'm engaged in it. Another definition for engagement is that a stakeholder or a student or a family will advocate for WISD in a non-educational environment. Like I'm at the grocery store and nobody asked me and I'm bragging about WISD. That's engagement. Ken Blanchard calls that a raving fan. It's good to have fans, but it's better to have raving fans. So the work in Priority 3 is to build raving fans. This is how Priority 3 looks in the scorecard. You see a lot of blank out there. Stay tuned. That's underway right now. We're Zooming later this week to work on some of those. And then Priority 4, financial integrity. 3 performance objectives, financial stewardship and transparency, coherent facility management. Actually, you have, did we settle on the 3, Dr. Hollingsworth? We did, didn't we? Okay, we were out to 5 at one point. We came back to 3. This is good. I like it. Coherent facility management plan, and then effective and efficient operations. You'll see a little bit more populated in the full-blown scorecard. Had a great meeting with Dr. Hollingsworth and few staff members to work on what these mean, and my eyes aren't nearly as good as they used to be. I can do it. I can do it without reading those, but I can tell you just to go specifically to 4.2, it's clarity around the 10-year facility master plan, clarity around large expenditures associated with that 10-year master plan. It's clarity around bond programs, and then large expenditures that may or may not fall into a bond program. It's about being systematic, and it's about if your band uniforms need to be replaced at such and such year, you know exactly when that end of life for that is. To give one example, band uniforms, tubas, cars, trucks, laptops, these things, when you add them all together, are big chunks of money. So this is about having a very clear, coherent, transparent 10-year plan on those large expenditures.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add in that, the work of the Long Range Planning Committee, it's great to put one together, and that's 4.2A. Put it together and get it going. And then 4.2B is develop that plan and then deploy the plan. So that's something that we'll measure over the next, couple of years. Hey, have we gotten the ball rolling on not just developing a long-range plan, but getting it deployed?
We spoke with the superintendent last week, and it was interesting. He called in a panic, and he said that his board president said, I'm not going to vote against the call for the bond, but I'm not going to vote for it. I'm going to abstain, which is kind of like voting against it, right? Especially as the board president. And so I said, well, hold on, let's don't panic. Let's pull it back a little bit and ask, well, he, and rightfully so, wanted to see when a certain thing, second high school, was going to be addressed. And they were looking in a 2-year horizon, and so that second high school wasn't in that 2-year horizon, it was in the 5-year horizon, but it didn't show up. Now, what's interesting, superintendent and facility planning team and everyone else knew that it was 5 years out, but there was no document that was transparent to show that. So we got it collapsed into what you've already started with your 10-year plan, and board president said, oh, okay, I'll make the motion for it. That's good. I need to know when that was going to happen. Yeah. And they actually modified the wording to their bond. I'm not trying to get too granular. And they're going to start some design and site work on that high school in the current bond, if that makes sense. So they broadened out their language in the current bond. They got with the attorneys and broadened it out because they know that has to happen in that 5-year period. So they're not doing the whole, whatever, 150 million or 200 million. They're just doing 20 million to get the groundwork and, all that started. Just 20 million for the groundwork and paperwork. The next slide says enter closed session, so I guess that means I'm through with my slides. Any questions, Mr. President?
Anything for Dr. Gibbs?
I want to make sure everybody understands that this document, this is what you're actually adopting. I just want to be clear about that. It's the first two columns. Don't think that by not adopting column 3, 4, and 5, that you're never going to see anything. The monthly board reports that we're talking about designing go into column 3, 4, and 5, so you get a snippet of it every single month and answer any question that you have.
You will get a little deja vu during the regular meeting because you'll see those same slides pop up again, and he'll do a very truncated version of that during the regular board meeting.
Yeah, with y'all's permission, I will make that pretty quick a little bit later on. I wanted to give y'all an opportunity to see if there was anything. The team, I know I could say this and y'all have no way to prove whether I mean it or not, but your senior leader team worked hard on this. And every single time we pulled something back, it's funny, sometimes it feels like we went around the whole circle and came back to right where we were. I can't remember the poet, but someone said, you know, you get back there, but you know the place better because you did. So we would do a big circle and we would come back to, that's the way we had it worded to begin with. But we knew so much more about it that we knew that was the right thing. That rarely happened, by the way. It was mostly we tweaked, like words matter. And so we tweaked a lot of words during this process to get those ready for your adoption next month. Thank you all for letting me be part of this, and thank you for loaning me some Wi-Fi for my next board meeting here in just a little bit.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to enter closed session according to section 551.001 et sec of the Texas Government Code. It is now 5:20. We're going to reconvene back into open session. At this time, I want to ask Ms. Melissa Starnader to lead us in our invocation, followed by Jada Washington and Santiago Rodriguez in our pledges.
Please bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, we thank you this evening for a staff, community, parents that put kids first. We have a wonderful community where everyone really puts our school district first, and we're so thankful for that. We pray tonight that we'll make some good decisions, that we will recognize some well-deserved honorees, and that everyone gets home safely. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Okay, Marvin students, Jada Washington and Santiago Rodriguez. Step right up there to the microphone. You may have to pull it down so we can hear you. There you go.
Ready? You guys want to start? Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Good job, guys.
Our vision is to be a district where innovation thrives and growth is limitless.
We value choices because they make us as unique and are critical to learning.
We value a collaborative culture that honors and supports all who positively impact the lives of our students.
We value an environment of belonging that respects individual differences and ensures equality for all.
We value relationships that broaden learning experiences and enrich our community.
Okay, Ms. Bridges, next item would be our recognitions. I believe we have several tonight. Am I correct?
We do, sir, yes. It's a good problem to have that we have so many recognitions every month, but we'll try to get through them. I'd first like to ask Ashley Treat, our CTE director, to come up to recognize some of our ag students.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Hollingsworth. It is my privilege to recognize the hard work and dedication of our career and technical education, agriculture, food, and natural resources students and teachers. These young people and their instructors represent Waxahachie ISD across the state at stock shows, ag mech shows, and leadership events. They work long hours to perfect their craft, care for their projects, and prepare for events. With the direction and inspiration of their ag teachers, chapter leadership, and of course, our parents, these young people truly live out the FFA motto: learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, and living to serve. Tonight, it is my honor to recognize some of our outstanding young leaders. The Senior Agricultural Skills team placed second in district, first in area, and 9th in state. The team is Wyatt Caverly, Audrey Hammock, and Kason Card. I did. The chapter conducting team was first in district, first in area, and a state semifinalist. This team includes Jonathan Middleton, Keely Heron, Callie Heron, Natalie Ovenshine, Philosophy Smith, Judson Willett, Wesley Smith, Parker Hicks, Ryan DeLeon, and Tice McKee. We would also like to recognize Peyton Acker and Jonathan Middleton as they were voted FFA Ellis County Youth Ambassadors. Philosophy Smith and Callie Heron were elected district officers, and Wyatt Caverly is an Area 8 officer. One of our chapter leaders, McKenna Van Huss, was named the Ellis County Stock Show and Rodeo Queen. And other leaders in attendance include Isaac Garling, Gracie Van Treese, and Gracie Worley.
Do a picture with this group.
You got it? Oh, you want to give it to him?
All right, y'all kind of get together a little bit. All right, let's get some shorter people at the front, taller people at the back.
Our students with lambs and goats are led by our ag instructors Jeanette Middleton, Brooks Humphrey, and Aubrey Gibson. We would like to recognize and congratulate Case Jones for winning medium wool breed champion, fine wool reserve breed champion, and the overall grand champion market lamb at the Ellis County Stock Show. And And Colton Jones won South Down Market Lamb breed champion. That's the next group. Yeah.
That's the next group.
Mrs. Middleton also leads our students in raising and showing rabbits and broilers, known to most of us as chickens. I'm excited to recognize Mr. Jonathan Middleton for his Best of Show commercial rabbits and the Best of Opposite Gender commercial rabbits at the Ellis County Stock Show. We're going quick. Our steers show team is full of firsts this year. It is our first year to house steers at the AgriScience facility. It is our first year with the team leader, Mrs. Callie Crane, and it is the first time one of our students has had the class-winning shorthorn steer at the Fort Worth Stock Show. It is my pleasure to recognize Miss Grace Boozer for winning steer and her winning steer, Maverick, for earning a sales spot at the Fort Worth Stock Show. Ms. Boozer has also received awards at the Beat the Heat Show, East Texas Fair and Rodeo, North Texas Fair and Rodeo, and the Jackpot Show. Hold on. Also, we'd like to honor Caden Carpenter for winning the Reserve American Breed at the Beat the Heat show. Is she here? She's not here. Okay. Ms. Crane also led our students in their pig projects this year, and we would like to recognize Judson Mulligan, Cameron Alexander for winning breed champion, and Jessica Schofield for winning reserve breed champion at the Ellis County Stock Show. Cameron Alexander also won breed champion Duroc at the Jackpot Show and reserve breed champion at the show and the Mansfield FFA Alumni Show. At the Cowboy Classic Pig Show, Peyton Acker and Ethan Green also won reserve breed champion in their respective breeds.
Good job, guys. Congratulations.
In total, 38 Waxahachie FFA students earned a sales spot at the Ellis County Stock Show, earning a total of $183,200 going back to the students for their animal projects this year. Mr. Jake Mulligan and Mr. Brooks Humphrey lead our applied agricultural engineering courses and lead our AgMech students through their projects. The AgMech team has been wildly successful this year, and we are proud to recognize the following students for their success at the Ellis County Stock Show. Case Lucky earned Reserve Division Champion for his trailer, which sold for $15,000. Wyatt Caverly earned Division Champion in farm machinery and shop equipment. And the Waxahachie FFA team won the AgMech Build-Off competition with Kyan Frisbee, Sam Friss, Will Brightwell, and Wyatt Caverly. The Grand Champion AgMech project at the Ellis County Stock Show is a 14-foot cooking trailer you passed and certainly could not miss as you walked inside the admin building this evening. This trailer was shown by Kyan Frisbee, Ethan Green, Grant Owens, and Tyler Owens, and Cutter Frisbee. In addition to their success at the Ellis County Stock Show, this team and trailer won Class Champion and Division Champion at the San Antonio Stock Show, where each student received a $3,500 scholarship. At the San Angelo Stock Show, the team won Class Champion and Grand Champion, Bumper Pull and Trailer Division. And at the Austin Livestock Show and Rodeo, the team won Class Champion of Towable Cookers Division Champion and the Grand Overall Champion. In total, the Waxahachie FFA AgMech students earned over $40,000 in cash, prizes, and scholarships this school year. Maybe step back. We would like to thank the board for supporting career and technical education and our Waxahachie FFA students. And we'd like to remind everybody that the upcoming plant sale is next Friday, April 22nd.
Thank you, Ms. Tree.
All right. Board, next I'd like to invite Dr. Philip Morgan up to do some fine arts recognitions.
All right. I almost looked over there. I was like, Dr. Hollingsworth? Dr. Hollingsworth, there we go. Good evening, Dr. Hollingsworth, Board of Trustees. We're here tonight to gather to recognize fine arts students this month. for WISD, those performing arts students who have recognized local, state, and national level achievements in the arts this semester. First, we're going to begin by recognizing our individual 2022 Cherokee Charmer officers, our 2022 national champion ADTS dance officers. I'm going to have them go ahead and come on in as I call them. Members of the WHS Cherokee Charmer officers are Summer Clark, Lexi Birchfield, Victoria Borders, Keziah Hanna, and Hannah Ridgway. It is important for us to note that in this year's 2022 ADTS National Championship, these officers won the national championship in large division hip hop and modern, topping some of the larger 6A school districts in the DFW Metroplex, the state, and the nation. Let's give them a big round of applause. Our 2022 national champions are under the direction of our wonderful Erica Pointer-Wilcox and Jessica Ramirez. They are up here, are both directors with us, absolutely. Parents, if you'd like to take any pictures, you may do so at this time. Take a couple of shots. These are our 2022 national champion officers from the Cherokee Charmers. Not only do you see them choreographed and exceptionally dressed on the field of competition, they also coordinated for us tonight. So, and officers, if you would just stay right there, we're going to recognize one more of your own. We'd also like to recognize tonight our individual 2022 Texas Dance Educators Association All-State Dancer for 2021-2022, and it is none other than our senior Cherokee Charmer captain, Ms. Summer Clark. Could you step forward, please? Thank you to our directors and our Charmers on an excellent year. Congratulations, and thank you for representing the tribe so well this year. Congratulations, y'all. Next, we'll recognize our 2022 TMEA All-State musicians. These musicians represent the top 2% of all performers, vocal and instrumental, in the state of Texas. Over 77,000 students began the process to call themselves TMEA All-Staters this year, and now we have our own 7 All-Staters present with us this evening. We will start with our band, Spirit of Waxahachie Band All-Staters, and we will begin first. We will start first with Leah Gonzalez, the junior drum major, second-year All-Stater. Next, Druval Rangrej, second-year All-Stater alto saxophone. Owen Bartosh, 2-year All-Stater French horn. And Giovanni Rodriguez, first-year All-Stater contrabass clarinet. We also have 2 other All-State qualifiers who couldn't be this evening. That's Diego Ramos and Nick Evans. Let's give them a round of applause as well. All right, if we go ahead and have their photograph and present them with their pins. Students are represented tonight by Mr. Justin Bell, who is with us as well. Oh, and Reggie Cook is there as well. Sorry, Reggie. Apologies. All right. Very nice job, band students. Congratulations. Those are our instrumentalists representing our All-State on the vocal side and the Waxahachie High School Choir Department. A first-year All-State tenor bass choir member and bass 2, Mr. Ian Granado. Come on up, Ian. Ian is under the direction of Miss Carrie Forehand and Mr. Travis Campbell. They worked months and months and months. Of course, Ian's voice is fantastic, so they barely had to work with him at all. A wonderful job. while we're taking pictures, I will tell you, I was honored. I looked like a man running a race at the TMEA All-State because I got to watch all of the concerts, and Ian's concert was absolutely beautiful. A wonderful, wonderful summation of vocal talent. Ian Granado, everyone. Finally, I have the pleasure of announcing our board resolutions in fine arts, recognizing the directors of our junior high programs for achieving the highest level of merit and accomplishment possible for their respective divisions. Directors, if you would, please come forward as I call your name to receive your resolution. First, Coleman Junior High Choirs for 2022 UIL Sweepstakes Award and their director, Mr. Mike Huffstetler. And Finley also had sweepstakes this evening, but Ms. Nelson could not join us. So, Mr. Huffstetler, you get to be the picture op today, too. So there we go. Absolutely. All right, our next group is our junior high bands for 2022 UIL Sweepstakes Award. Our first band is the Coleman Junior High Band. They won sweepstakes in varsity and non-varsity band contests this year, and their directors are David Ingram and Armando Vera. Joining Coleman on the podium tonight is the Finley Junior High Varsity Band under the direction of Laura Seal and Felipe Hernandez. And I do not know, did Coleman or did Howard make it? Okay, got you. Howard also, under the direction of Courtney Davis and Macy Lee, also received varsity band and non-varsity band sweepstakes. Let's give our band programs and directors a great round of applause. Marvelous job, everyone. Great job. And finally tonight, rounding out our resolutions, we're going to recognize our junior high Cheyennes. They were national award winners. They traveled up to the University of North Texas with our dance program, and the Charmers took it to town. The Maidens took it to town, and then we went down to the junior high, and all the Cheyennes brought it home too. So if you would, help me welcome up our first group of recognees. The Coleman Junior High Cheyennes won the Small Division National Championship, a Platinum Judges Award, and they were best in class for Pom, Jazz, Prop, and Trio under their director, Dawn Rickman. Let's give them a round of applause. Joining Coleman is the Finley Junior High Cheyennes. They were all-team ensemble national champions. They also won Platinum Judges Award in Pom, Novelty, and Kick Division, and they were the first runner-up in the Medium Junior High Division under their director, Miranda Jansen. Very nice job, Finley. And finally, our Howard Junior High Cheyennes, under the direction of Tanya Jones, won Medium Ensemble National Division Champions, Medium Team Hip Hop National Jazz Champions, and overall performance for the Medium Junior High category. Again, great round of applause for our junior high dance programs and our Cheyennes. Very nice job. Awesome. Congratulations to all of our recognees tonight. Thank you for your hard work and representation of the fine arts programs in your efforts. Thank you, Board.
All right, Board, next I'd like to invite Greg Reed up to do a recognition of one of his coaching staff.
All right, going to continue with the celebrations. Where'd Coach Wood go? Come on in here.
Hang on.
Get that out of your way. You should just come right next to us here. Actually, let's put you right there on center stage. I like it. It's a privilege to be here tonight to honor Waxahachie Indian head baseball coach Tracy Wood. Coach Wood graduated from the University of Central Arkansas in 1987, and a few months later began his coaching career at Atlanta, Texas. He coached in Grand Saline, Athens, and Corsicana before coming to Waxahachie in 2007. As the head coach of the Indians, he has compiled more than 300 victories. But on March 3rd in Waxahachie's historic Richard Park, we celebrated an incredible milestone of 600 career wins for Coach Wood. Coach Wood has decided to retire at the end of this baseball season, and he's impacted hundreds of students and coaches in his successful 35-year career in education. I know Coach Wood is especially proud of two of his former players that are currently on his staff, Chris DeLeon and Bradley Davis. Coach Wood, thank you for the many years of service to WISD and to the dedication of the students and families of the Waxahachie Indian baseball program. And congratulations on an amazing career and milestone of 600 victories.
Board, next I'm excited to invite Sonia Clark up. She's the director of our Little Chiefs Academy.
Good evening, Dr. Hollingsworth and Board. I'm Sonia Clark, Director of Little Chiefs Academy. Little Chiefs Academy is the Early Learning Center for WISD. The mission of Little Chiefs is to provide a safe, stimulating, and caring environment for children ages 6 weeks to 5 years old, meet the developmental needs of each child served, and to partner with her family by providing an atmosphere of activity and learning. Focus on the development of each child and ensure their physical, social, emotional, and cognitive needs are met. Be committed to the families we serve. Strive to give parents complete peace of mind while being seen as a shining example of what a quality child care center should be. At Little Chiefs, we have always encompassed the district's mission. This is where growth is nurtured, developed, encouraged, and flourishes in all aspects of an infant to 5-year-old's development. This includes, but is not limited to, their physical, social, emotional, and cognitive needs. Our staff and teachers are continuously bringing innovative ideas to our program to keep the youngest members of the district curious, engaged, caring, and kind, and prepared to be lifelong learners. To help to do this, we partake in the Texas Workforce Texas Rising Star Early Learning Program. As a Texas Rising Star Early Learning Program provider, we meet higher standards than the state child care standards and are dedicated to quality. We have smaller class sizes, teachers with higher education and ongoing training, positive and patient teachers, age-appropriate activities, and quality curriculum for all ages and classrooms that help with learning and development both indoors and outdoors. All age groups from infants through pre-K use Frog Street curriculum. Some of the ways we enhance our program is that we offer these optional enrichment programs: Soccer Little, Stretch and Grow Fitness, and Stretch and Grow Ballet, as well as partnering with Turner Pre-K for seasonal special activities. Little Chiefs partners with Waxahachie High School and Global High School as community service sites for students to obtain their community service hours. We also work with the CTE Career Prep class at WHS as a training site. As you can see, there's a lot of fun activities going on at Little Chiefs. At this time, I would like to recognize the staff of Little Chiefs. Due to everyone on staff, we were able to retain our Texas Rising Star 4 stars rating. This was accomplished by a lot of hard work and dedication Everyone was required to have 36 hours of training by December 15th, 2021, in which 18 of these hours had to be in-person hours. These hours had to be completed by each staff member in order for the next part of the assessment to be completed. To give you an idea of how the Texas Rising Star assessment is scored, they spend 2 full days in the center with at least 2 hours in each classroom. The classroom culture, the learning activities indoors and outdoors, and the teacher-child interactions are a large part of the criteria. Since we retained our 4-star rating, we earned a $10,500 grant for materials and equipment to use to continue to improve upon our students' growth and development. I'm extremely proud of what my staff and I have achieved this year to show what high-quality early childhood learning programs should look like. Little Chief staff, I greatly appreciate your commitment, hard work, and dedication for us to continue to make Little Chiefs a success. I could not have done it without all of you.
And board, on a personal note, I would just love to say that these ladies are unbelievable. They are such a huge benefit to our staff. I know my personal baby has been taught by most of these ladies, and they are incredible. So thank you, ladies. Board, next I would like to invite Marvin Elementary Principal Karen Polkup.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Hollingsworth. At Marvin Elementary, we recognize a staff member each month for their dedication to our campus. The person is nominated by their peers. This person is friendly, kind, professional, and intentional in all her interactions with students, co-workers, parents, and guests. She goes above and beyond to make sure everything runs smoothly on our campus. She is always willing to help, is encouraging, and keeps a smile on her face. She just has a sweet personality that can brighten your day. Our Marvin Warrior of the Month is our Office Secretary, Holly Byers. At Marvin Elementary, we have focused our year on growth for our students and for ourselves. Here are some highlights from this year. We value belonging. This year, we implemented the phrase with our staff and students, make your mark. It comes from the book, The Dot, by Peter H. Reynolds. Just make a mark and see where it takes you. We want our students to dream big and know that their growth is limitless. MARK stands for Make It Happen, Always Be Safe, Respect Yourself and Others, and Kindness Matters. Each week, teachers nominate students who have gone above and beyond to make their mark that week. Students also can earn MARK tickets from staff throughout the week and are able to exchange their tickets for prizes from our MARK cart. We also value collaboration. One example of this occurred during the first semester when we participated in Rock Your School. The purpose of this day was to create an outside-the-box educational experience designed to engage students and bring learning to life. We invited the Spirit of Waxahachie Band to play for our students at arrival, and we also had our WHS cheerleaders and football players greeting our students. Teachers transformed their classrooms to engage our students in learning in different ways. One student told us at the end of the day, "Thank you so much. I can't believe you did all of this for us." We also value community through family engagement and partnerships, such as author visits, and with our fall festival, our partnership with Remedy Church and Salute football players. Third grade has a current partnership with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Master Gardeners, just to name a few. And then, of course, we value choices at Marvin Elementary because we are becoming Marvin Biomedical Academy this fall. Our kindergarten lottery closed today, and families will be notified this week. Next week, Monday, April 18th, the lottery opens for our 1st through 5th grade. Our teachers are also working diligently to complete their NICE certification this May. We had our launch event last month, and it was an amazing success. We had over 700 people who visited, and we are so grateful for the collaboration and partnerships in our community, including WHS CTE department, as well our new recently announced partnership with Baylor Scott & White Waxahachie. With Baylor Scott & White Waxahachie, we are thrilled to work with them as they provide guidance in the health and biomedical science industry, collaborate with us to offer hands-on experiences to enhance learning for our students, and offer opportunities for Baylor Scott & White staff to be on-campus mentors in our classrooms. And tonight we have with us Will Turner, President, Elizabeth Ortiz, Chief Nursing Officer, and Glenn Ledbetter, Chief Medical Officer. Thank you, Board and Dr. Hollingsworth.
Next item on our agenda is our open forum. Don't believe we have anyone signed up to speak. So we're going to go a little bit out of order. We're going to go down to action item A, which is consideration and approval of the donation of a new indoor golf training facility at Coleman Junior High. Dr. Averett?
Thank you, Mr. President, Dr. Hollingsworth, Board. Thank you for letting me come up tonight and speak. I'm going to have my co-pilot, Greg Reed's going to come up here in just a second. But the background is that, our WISD golf program practices at several different golf courses in the area. However, the weather is not always conducive for golf outside. And so in order to keep our kids active in the game and practicing on the skills that they need, the idea was formulated that we need an indoor golf facility. So I'm going to allow Coach Reed to go ahead and kind of flesh that out for you. Actually, we're going to do it right now.
Yeah, we go ahead and do the video real quick. It's real short.
We kind of like to show you exactly what the place looks like.
Perception doesn't really give you the idea and the size of the place. The green kind of looks small with all those kids on it, but I promise you it is plenty big, and we get a lot of good work in there. So last October, we began discussions about an indoor golf practice facility for our boys and girls golf program. And in a few short months, a plan was moving forward, and in mid-March, the Waxahachie ISD indoor golf practice facility was opened. The facility was made possible by a donation that was made in honor of longtime golfer and WISD supporter Bill Pearman. And we are honored tonight to have Bill's wife, Nola Pearman, and his daughter, Patty Junkin, both here. We also want to recognize Nola and Bill's son, Mike Pearman, who could not be here tonight, but we appreciate him helping us get Miss Pearman and Miss Junkin here tonight. A plaque will be placed in the golf facility in honor of Bill Pearman. I want to thank Coach Gaylor, our girls golf coach, for rallying the parent and booster support behind this project. He organized several cleanup days to prepare the facility and was strategic in the design and planning. I also thank you to our parent and student volunteers that disassembled old desks and filled the recycling dumpsters. Thank you to the Golf Booster Club and parents that both purchased and installed the hitting bays and net structures that you saw in the video. Moat Pros, who did the final design and installation of the turf. Thank you to WISD leaders Raul Gomez and Geronimo Suaste, who provided the resources needed to prepare and clean the facility. I want to especially thank Andy Reeves for his expertise in lighting the facility, as well as his painting crew, who was led by Arnold Medina. Lastly, I want to thank Roger Wilk, Craig Koch, Todd Alexander, Terry Minton, Dr. Hollingsworth, his cabinet, and the trustees for allowing us to take this ordinary space and make it an extraordinary facility for our golfers.
So it is the recommendation of administration that the attached plaque that reads, the Waxahachie ISD Indoor Golf Center opened in March 2022 and was made possible by the private donation in the name of Bill Pearman. Mr. Pearman was a lifelong golfer and generous supporter of the Waxahachie Indian Golf Program.
Okay, board, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve action item A as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Timmerman,
Second.
second by Mr. Rogers. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, we're going to move to item 7, reports. We're going to go out of order on this one. We're going to go to item C, informational report on WISD balance scorecard. Dr. Gibson?
Thank you, Mr. President, and Dr. Hollingsworth and trustees. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I did get an opportunity downstairs to be standing right behind the mother and father, and they were talking about what they were going to do after the recognition, and they're going out to eat and all that. And the dad said, well, I think I'm going to stay for the board meeting. And I couldn't help myself. I said, well, good. You can hear the strategic plan update. And I noticed he just left just a second ago. And he tried to avoid eye contact as he walked by me. But I understand. I get it. This is not, the most thrilling thing to talk about, but critically important. And since we're mostly here with those that have heard numerous reports on this, with your permission, Mr. President, I'm going to go pretty briefly. But tonight, for the record and just to make sure that anyone that's listening, watching, or tuned into this. The board has met with me numerous times. I'm merely a consultant. None of the things that were put on paper were my words per se, but the structure and the thought behind it and how we went about, I was the facilitator for that. Your staff did a wonderful job. Trustees have done a wonderful job. And I think the final product that will be presented to you in May for approval, you'll be very proud of. So any system can perform and can perform pretty well, but an aligned system will always perform better than an unaligned system. And so this tonight is about alignment. It's about narrowing focus. Narrowing focus has always been a good idea. Coming out of a pandemic, it's probably a particularly good idea to get really focused on what are the most important things that we're trying to accomplish. Any item that's not explicitly on the performance objectives does not mean that it's not important. It just means it's not as important as the items that are specifically outlined in these performance objectives. So real briefly, just the process began in November. I saw that a while ago, and I remember at least 2 ICE events that I started out of my driveway to drive here, and we wound up Zooming because I was iced in, so I forgot this occurred over the winter time. Multiple meetings with the staff and your principal team was involved. In fact, they were involved at every step of the way until we got to the last 1 or 2 meetings, and they themselves said, we have given a lot of input. Can we have experts go and work on these now and then just let us know, and we'll circle back around. So your principals were integral to how good and robust these performance objectives are. And then again, this will come back to you in May for approval. So aligning with your core values and vision that you've already established, we've outlined 4 priorities: student growth, honor and support staff, community and stakeholder relationships, and financial transparency. And then inside those 4 overarching perspectives, if you will, are 4 performance objectives. I would say that you just got a good 1.4 report for annually increased student enrichment, involvement in extracurricular UIL. I went down to look at the smoker a while ago, and they were pretty impressed that I could just converse with those ag kids. I was chapter president for 3 years at Breckenridge High School and a Lone Star farmer, and it's really good. Turns out you don't have to make money on a cattle project to get your Lone Star farmer. You just have to check all the boxes, because I lost a bunch on it. But I learned my lesson, and turns out when you buy high and sell low, it's not prosperous. But I learned the lesson, but I did get my Lone Star farmer. Those kids did a great job down there, by the way. But just in an overview of these performance objectives, so it's your 4 core areas, and then it's student safety and security and well-being, and then really 1.3 performance objective is 3 performance objectives in that one: college and or career and or military. And it doesn't mean that it has to be one or the other. In fact, you'll have a lot of students that are all 3 of those, and that's the goal. But it's to make sure that there's clarity about those that might be seeking a college path, and then those that might be seeking a career certification, and certainly those that are seeking military right out of high school. One of those is not more important than the other one. And again, I had a young lady that cut my hair not too long ago at a pro cut or something, and she had finished with a cosmetology certification, and she was putting herself through college. And to me, I mean, that's just a beautiful story. I mean, she's a tax-paying citizen that's putting herself through college. So, those are the kinds of stories that we're looking for. And then we mentioned the UIL co-curricular and extracurricular, and you guys are obviously off to a great start with that. For those of you that haven't seen this before, those objectives and the priorities are the first 2 columns. The staff then gets a little bit granular with strategic actions and lead measures and lag measures. We're working on building a structure for board reports for the 22-23 school year. It does not take the whole scorecard at once, ever, but bite-sized pieces of it, and goes into a little bit of detail in each one of the objectives. The board would, of course, always need to stay at the strategic level. the ed code says that the board is supposed to adopt a budget, hire and fire superintendent, and oversee management. That's what the education code says that the duties of a board member are. Now, there's some subpoints to all that. So my question is always, what are you overseeing? What are board members overseeing? You will always have a direct answer to that. You're overseeing these strategic objectives. That's the purpose of this. I will go on to priority 2, honor and support staff. Staff satisfaction engagement, a lot of work that you've already done and bringing that back out to the forefront on professional learning communities, and then invest in staff growth. And I pointed this out earlier with the board during the workshop. It says staff growth, not just teacher growth. Teachers are part of the staff, but this is all staff. So when staff is worded there, it's for all staff to have whatever specialized learning or specialized training and learning that they require. For those of you that are seeing it for the first time, you'll see some holes in the columns to the right. It's because those are in process as we speak. We will be Zooming later this week to work on some of those. Priority 3, community and stakeholder relationships. Real simply, student, family, and community stakeholder satisfaction and engagement. So a lot of effort around, and so this brings students into 2 components here. You've got the 4 components in your priority 1, but then it's also, if I may use the term customer, it's looking at the student as a customer. And then how can we serve you better? Now, that doesn't mean that anything in that, someone once made an argument to me against measuring satisfaction and engagement and said, if we treat students like customers, they'll just tear up the store or something like that. And, I thought I shop at H-E-B for groceries, and they do really good with customer satisfaction. And they are interested in my satisfaction. That doesn't mean I can grab a bunch of Twix bars and walk out with them and say, this is customer satisfaction, right? There's still rules and guidelines. But I know they constantly earn my trust and my satisfaction, and so I'm willing to advocate for them like I just did, unsolicited. Again, the full-blown version, and then the final priority, financial integrity and financial stewardship and transparency. Those really go together. And they're really important, not that the rest aren't, but for you guys, a coherent and transparent long-range facility master plan. Already got a lot of good thoughts, and I know your superintendent and his staff is on this. It'll be part of what you're hearing in systematic reports, and then working to make sure, as we are stewards of taxpayers' money, that we are both effective and efficient with taxpayer dollars. As my first superintendent mentor told me, don't forget, it's not your kids, it's not your school, and it's not your money. And that was the board president. You are the steward of, and that was the best advice I could have gotten in my first year of superintendence. None of this is mine. I am the caretaker of all of this. And so this is all about making sure that we're demonstrating that we're taking this very seriously as we take care of the taxpayer resources. And I am not going to do Dr. Hollingsworth's superintendent's report because I'm allegedly retired. But thank you, Mr. President. And if there are any questions, I know we had the opportunity earlier tonight.
Anything for Dr. Gibson? All right, thank you very much.
It will come back in May for action. Thank you for the opportunity to present it tonight. And then I'm assuming any questions between now and then, just let us know.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, under reports, item A, superintendent's report. Dr. Hollingsworth.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. As we do each month, this is our monthly enrollment and average daily attendance report. You can see this is where we ended the month of March. Our enrollment has rebounded a bit from a dip at the end of February. We started January at 10,161. We dipped down to 135. Now we're back up to 10,174 at the end of March. I believe the last one I saw was 178. And so they are coming, and that's a little bit unusual to see an increase in spite of the fact that we're getting closer to the end of the year. But that's not unusual in Waxahachie, knowing the growth that we're experiencing. And you can see that we maintained at about 93.71% attendance at the end of March. We are trending in the right direction. It's not as much of an increase as we'd like to see, but we are trending back in the right direction. You've seen online, we are making a lot of efforts right now to really emphasize attendance, as is the rest of the nation, really trying to get kids and families back in a habit of coming to school on a regular basis. We had some questions about our substitute teacher fill rate. This is January through March of 2022. Substitute teaching took a real hard hit, again, statewide and nationwide. So many of our substitutes, certainly not all, but a large portion of our substitutes are often retired teachers or retirees from other professions. And so as we were in the thick of COVID, a lot of folks chose to not, for obvious reasons, not take those positions. But we have begun to see those numbers improve. You can see our unfilled percentages for January. You can see our unfilled percentages for February. And now for March, we're still around 30% unfilled. We're filling those positions about 70% of the time. And the question always comes up, well, what happens when they don't? And that's when other employees fill in. Other employees and teachers and so forth fill in on conference periods. Sometimes we combine classes. And we take, as is no surprise to anybody, our hardest days are Friday and Monday. People tend to not be quite ready to come back on Monday, and they tend to be ready to go a little early on Friday, and which makes us like most other professions in that sense. And so that's a challenge for us. Any questions about that portion? Okay. All right, and then finally, I did want to just share with y'all something I'm very excited about. You know that we participate in what's called the TASA Future Ready Superintendents Leadership Network. That's a mouthful, and they call it FRSLN. It's FRSLN, FRSLN. And I was invited to take part in their design team. It's a really cool thing, and so I get to actually go over the summer and help design some of the learning experiences that this group of about 200 superintendents and districts throughout the state get to participate in. And it's the way I describe FRSLN, nobody gets together and gripes about things we don't have control over. This is a group of folks who are very forward-thinking. They get together and they say, okay, what can we do to make things great for kids, to make schools great for kids? And so it's a really cool opportunity for our district, and I'm really proud to represent Waxahachie ISD as part of the design team for next year. That concludes that superintendent's report, sir.
Any questions for Dr. Hollingsworth? Okay. Moving on, report item B, informational report on the WISD reunification drill that was conducted on March 11th, 2022. Oliver?
Thank you. Last year, it came to our attention that we practice our lockdown drills and our secure drills pretty often, but what happens if we have to use that in real life, in a real world scenario afterwards, when we have to evacuate students and reunify them somewhere with their parents? And because of that, we started working together with WISD and Waxahachie's emergency management to put together a plan on how to do this effectively and efficiently. I think throughout the course of this, we really saw some innovation, we saw some changes, and we went forward with a new way of doing things. For instance, using Waxahachie Civic Center is a great place to reunify parents. But through that collaboration, eventually we got to the point where we actually did a reunification exercise, and I wanted to present tonight just how well that went. First of all, we originally planned on using about 249 of our English students. Between the fact that there was a band trip that was taking place and a theater trip, and we did it the Friday before spring break, about 141 of those students were there, and that ended up being what was transported over to the Civic Center. We came together with over 70 WISD employees that worked together through this reunification process. We had 7 City of Waxahachie and Ellis County employees that came in. And that was everybody from the constable's office to police officers to emergency management that helped out with that. In the end, 59 parents showed up to pick up their kids. Child nutrition passed out 90 snacks and bottled water combos to the kids that were there. But one of the most interesting things I found was from the time parents walked in the door and filled out their paperwork until the time they were checked through to make sure that they were the legal guardian of these kids and put down in a parent waiting room. It only took us 4 minutes. I only wish that the emergency room was that efficient. But I mean, just that just goes to show the effectiveness and how great this team worked together. We talk about collaboration, and I just wanted to put this up here. These are just an example of all the people that came together to make this exercise realistic and worthwhile, and we learned from it. We worked with the Waxahachie Fire Department, the Police Department, and also Thomas Griffith and Dan Frisbee from Emergency Management they just went over the top to help us out with this. They worked behind the scenes to get the Civic Center on board. They ended up helping us out with money, even from their budget, to make sure that we could make this happen. And so I can't thank Thomas and Dan enough for the help that they put into this. Also, they pulled in Samantha Pickett from Ellis County's Emergency Management. She was running around giving us good critiques and things we could do better next time. But also just everything from IT. One of my biggest fears with this is that we'd get over to the Civic Center and our computers wouldn't be able to talk to the servers to let us know that, yes, this kid does belong to our parents. So our IT guys here with the school district just went above and beyond to help us out with this. When they found out we were doing it, Casey Borders over at the constable's office called us and said, hey, we're here. We can help you with traffic control. We can help you direct buses, whatever you need. So the collaboration that went on between us and the school district and the county and the city really just kind of blew me away. To give you an idea of how everything happened, over at Waxahachie High School, at 8:31, we made an announcement and put the school into lockdown. We gave them a heads up that, hey, this is going to be longer than your usual lockdowns because this is going to be realistic. So immediately, all these are screenshots from the actual communication that was taking place through our Duress app that we have through BAT. So almost immediately, I sent out the message saying, hey, we stopped at the threat. Everything's good, but we're going to need buses here for reunification. Immediately, Lee Aubenshine was able to get back with me and say, yes, we are going to the Civic Center. That's where we're going to reunify. Let's get the buses rolling, and that's what we did. So Jacob Perry was kind of the guy that was over our operations there at the Civic Center. He kind of spearheaded helping us out and keeping everything organized and the team behind that. And immediately he went into play and started getting things organized over at the Civic Center. Within 6 minutes, we had everybody in cars heading over to the Civic Center as far as that team is concerned, as putting things together and being able to set up in order to start processing kids through. Everybody was en route over there to the Civic Center. I will say this, that as soon as we hit that lockdown button, one of the guys from the police department called me and he said, LT, the buses weren't staging. And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, they wanted to make it realistic. So none of the bus drivers were waiting. None of the buses were geared up or anything like that. They wanted to make it realistic. And my heart just sank. I was like, our kids are going to be on lockdown for like the next 45 minutes while we put buses together. But you can see within 15 minutes of us doing a lockdown, we had 10 regular buses and 2 sped buses en route to Waxahachie High School to pick up those kids. I was just blown away with that efficiency. We had them there at WHS at 8:52, and by 8:58, 6 minutes later, we had 141 kids loaded on those buses and heading to the Civic Center with a police escort, which kind of helped speed things up and get them down the highway. But we were thrilled with the efficiency. Ms. Harris and Mr. Buck were right there with us with those English teachers and helping us get those kids loaded on the bus. So I can't commend them and their team enough for that. Yes, sir.
Tell them about where these messages came from. Yeah. Yeah. So I just think that is so cool. I can't get over how cool that is.
Well, and I was going to say, that was one of the neatest things is if you've got a teacher that's in lockdown at WHS that's not in the English wing, normally they wouldn't have a clue as to what's going on. But everybody from administrators to everybody at WHS can read these messages and know that, hey, there's buses en route. They can get an idea of the timeline. So the ability for us to communicate with all these teachers is just fantastic. One of the things I did leave off of this is all the teachers that were giving us feedback as far as, hey, this kid's missing right now, or this kid's in this room over here. Just the communication aspect of that is fantastic. And really and truly, we had Kyle Beller from BAT there with us that day in case anything went down. But the app worked really, really well, just as we expected it would. We had, you can see, this is kind of a picture of what the Civic Center was set up like. And I can't tell you how great the Civic Center was as far as putting up walls for us and setting up rooms, and we could rearrange things however we wanted to. When Mayor Barnes from the city of Waxahachie heard this was going on, he got really excited and he showed up just to kind of see what was going on. So it was really neat to have the mayor there, emergency management, and all the people that went into making this work. You can see that it took about 30 minutes and we even started feeding those kids. And it was neat to watch how Child Nutrition was able to load up a truck with snacks and water on the fly and get that there. Everybody was really comfortable. You can see here just kind of the work that was going on with the kids there at the top left and then their parents waiting at the bottom right. Everybody, I was just thrilled at the fact that everybody behaved themselves. We didn't have any kids that were out of order. The parents, some of the parents, I guess they got text messages from their kids right when we loaded up on buses. So they were there early. And we were like, I was thinking, oh man, they're going to have to wait an hour in here before they can take their kids. And not once did we have any pushback or anything from the parents. It was fantastic. And that's my time limit. No, there are some things that we learned that we could make some improvements. One of the top things we found out that we need some radios to help communicate while we're there at the Civic Center and between the Civic Center and buses that are on their way. So that's one of the things that would really help is if we improve that radio communication. We did have a handful of Spanish translators, but maybe more Spanish and hearing impaired translators, especially for the parents that are coming in. We learned that overall, we had a good amount of people in the student area, especially with the teachers, those English teachers that stepped up to kind of help corral those kids and keep an eye on them. The big part that we noticed we might need more help is when the parents first come in, because we give them paperwork to fill out and we're kind of talking through how the process is going to work. So maybe have some more people on the greeter side of it. But overall, we had a pretty good amount of people there. This is a picture of a charging tower. As I said, our kids really, our students did a great job of behaving themselves. As soon as they got in there and found out there was a seat to sit in, they did that, pulled out their phones, and they were glued to it for the next couple of hours while we were there. Now, that brings us back to the charging station. I'd hate to see what it looks like when their batteries run dead. So one of the suggestions is, hey, let's get some charging towers for the kids. We want to get some sign-in sheets. There was some things we could have done better as far as tracking what ISD staff were working in different areas, and then have briefings for parents. We did really good sharing information with each other amongst the ISD staff. The communication was fantastic. We learned that we need to take it a step farther and have regular briefings with the parents just to kind of fill them in on where we're at and what's going on at the school and things like that. Things we did really well. I was blown away at the transportation side of things. They were just as efficient as could be, and it was so great to see how quick we were able to move those kids from the high school. The organization of the students, I mean, we look at the administrators and the teachers and we think this is what they do for a living, and they were in their element when it came to keeping those kids organized. It was fantastic watching that work. The Civic Center, their facility and their staff, and just overall the WISD teamwork between everybody, not only amongst themselves, but also amongst the county and city officials that were there. I wanted to take some time. We can see here how it ended, that by 10:53, we had all the parents that we thought were going to come picking up their kids, and we were able to get those students back on the bus. And at 11:07, we were transporting about half the kids that were left back over to WHS. I will say that this couldn't have happened without a handful of people. I was really just a small part of this. When we first started throwing this around, I told Lissa Riddlehuber, hey, we're going to have to start buying some stuff. And she took the ball and ran with it. And next thing you know, I've got 6 fully decked out cases with, I mean, everything from color-coded vests to megaphones, which is some of the coolest toys we can play with around here. Clipboards, pens, papers. She was printing off things from I Love You Guys, and she did a fantastic job putting 6 of those cases together. And I have no doubt that if anything happens, that team's going to be ready to go with the supplies that she put together. And then also, I threw out Thomas Griffith and Dan Frisbee, everything from planning to doing tabletop exercises and working with us through just kind of emergency command and that sort of system. They did just a fantastic job helping us out. Couldn't have done it without those people. But overall, it was a fantastic exercise that we learned a lot from going forward. And I have no doubt that if we did have to do a reunification in real life with the team that we had in place, we'd be able to do that effectively and efficiently, even with 3,000 students from WHS. Do you have any questions for me?
First,
yes, ma'am.
Lieutenant Oliver, I want to commend you and the group for everything you did. It makes me sleep a little easier that we've practiced.
Thank
But I
you.
do have one question.
Sure.
Of course, I have a question. Did the kids carry their backpacks? I watched an incident from an area school, and the kids did not take their backpacks with them, and so I didn't see any backpacks. So did the kids take their backpacks with them out of the school?
No, ma'am. In these situations, not to get too into detail, if this was to happen in a real life situation, we would say leave your stuff there because it becomes part of a crime scene.
Exactly.
So in this case, we did say, hey, bring your phones with you because we want them to be able to communicate and assure their parents everything's okay. But as far as backpacks, nobody brings their backpacks.
Okay.
And that really helps us too from a law enforcement side because we don't have to search every backpack that comes into the Civic Center.
That is exactly, and that's what I watched in the area situation, and I just wondered about it, especially with the parents picking up. So they went back to the school after the parents picked them up and took them back to school?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember how that worked out.
But anyway, well, thank you for everything.
Ms. Kriegel, is the question parent pickup?
Yeah.
Parents that wanted to participate, the school did a fantastic job. Ms. Harris and her team sent out notice several days in advance. And so parents that wanted to come pick up were able to come pick up, and no, they did not have to go back to the campus.
Okay.
They were able to dismiss. We didn't dismiss until after 10:15, so it counted as an attendance day.
Right.
Mr. Calden, that was his number one rule for our reunification drill, so no dismissal prior to 10:15. But once that rolled around, yes, participating parents were able to take their kids home and not have to go back to the school.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oliver.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, item D, informational report on Human Resource Department's interview questions incorporating WISD core values. Mr. James?
Good evening, Board and Dr. Hollingsworth. Just want to share some things that we've done addressing the core values. The Human Resources team developed an interview committee to create an interview questions that align with our core values. The interview committee included leaders for each employee group, your administrators, professionals, or paraprofessionals, and the auxiliary staff. We met March 1st, and in that meeting, we decided that the group would divide themselves into professional level and to non-professional level in order to develop these questions. Each one of those groups developed the questions, came back together, and all agreed that the questions developed were good questions. Then we took the questions to our cabinet, and then to our DLT. They all agreed and approved. So we got those started. I don't want to read each one of the questions, but I do want to, talk about each one of them. One of the things that we did, is another thing, okay. Although we use all the core values, for the administrative and professional positions, we use all 4. But on the non-professional, we felt like the collaboration piece would be difficult for some of those groups, so we didn't have questions relating to them. So these are our questions. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. James. Okay, now for the most exciting report of the evening. Item E, the informational report on WISD Board of Trustees continuing education hours. Under State Board of Education rule, completing required continuing education each year of service is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member. As board president, I am required to announce the name of each member who has completed the required continuing education, has exceeded the required continuing education, and is deficient in meeting the required continuing education. The requirements for training are measured as the first anniversary of the date of the trustee's election or appointment, or 2-year anniversary of his or her previous training as applicable. There are 7 training areas for board member continuing education. Number 1, local district orientation. Number 2, orientation to the Texas Education Code. Number 3, post-legislative update to the Education Code. Number 4, team building. Number 5, additional continuing education. Number 6, evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. Number 7, identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. To the extent applicable to each board member, I will announce the completion or deficiency as to required training. For members who still have time remaining to complete required training, I will announce those board members who have scheduled timely training and those who have not yet scheduled the training. At the conclusion of this announcement, I will announce any board members' training in excess of the continuing education requirements. Local district orientation. No new board members were required to complete local district orientation for the time period covered by this announcement. Orientation of the Texas Education Code. No new board members were required to complete local district orientation for the time period covered by this announcement. Post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code. No board members were required to complete the post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code training for the time period covered by this announcement. Team building. The following board members have completed the annual team building training: Dusty Autry, Kim Kriegel, Judd McCutcheon, John Rogers, Clay Schofield, Melissa Starnader, Debbie Timmerman. Additional continuing education. The following board members have completed the additional continuing education requirements: Dusty Autry, Kim Kriegel, Judd McCutcheon, John Rogers, Clay Schofield, Melissa Starnader, Debbie Timmerman. Evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. This training must be completed every 2 years. The following board members have completed the biennial training of evaluating student academic performance and setting goals: Dusty Autry, Kim Kriegel, Judd McCutcheon, John Rogers, Clay Schofield, Melissa Starnader, Debbie Timmerman. Identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. This training must be completed every 2 years. The following board members have completed the biennial training on identifying and reporting abuse and trafficking: Dusty Autry, Kim Kriegel, Judd McCutcheon, John Rogers, Clay Schofield, Melissa Starnader, Debbie Timmerman. Exceeding required continuing education. Board member Dusty Autry exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 6 additional training hours for a total of 17 hours. Board member Kim Kriegel exceeded the required amount of continuing education by training by 55.5 additional hours for a total of 66.5 hours. Board member John Rogers exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 8 additional hours for a total of 19 hours. Board member Clay Schofield exceeded the required amount of continuing education by training by 8 additional hours for a total of 19 hours. Board member Melissa Starnader exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 19.5 additional hours for a total of 30.5 hours. Board member Debbie Timmerman exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 20 additional hours for a total of 31 hours. That concludes the informational review. Any questions, member trustees? Okay, moving along to item 8 is our consent agenda. Pretty short consent agenda items tonight, items A through F.
Mr. President, I would like to add on item E, which is related to possible new and modified positions. It's really the completion of a goal that was set long before I got here to make sure that we have a librarian on every campus in our district. And as we add these 2 additional librarian positions, then we will have met that goal. And so kudos to the board for having the foresight to make that happen. That's a great thing for all of our campuses.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, there's a motion. Yes. Motion by Mr. Schofield, second by Ms. Starnader. Any discussion on consent agenda items A through F? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to action item B, consideration and possible action to approve the purchase and installation of up to 170 Promethean boards from Pro Computing at a price not to exceed $690,000.
Dr. Hollingsworth Board, I am happy to request the completion of the elementary schools after we finished pre-K through 2 for all the installation of our Promethean boards very successfully. We're excited about it. Any questions about it? Anything I can answer for you?
Questions for Mr. Oleander?
At the elementary, yes, sir.
Does that include Turner Turner Pre-K?
Turner has boards right now. I'm not sure, but it completes all of our elementary schools. So if they're missing one here and one there, then it would complete that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And we wanted to mention this is paid for by ESSER 3 funds.
It is.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to approve action item B as presented.
Motion.
By Mr. Schofield,
Second.
second by Mr. Rogers. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Carried 7-0. And last item is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McCutcheon, second by Mr. Timmerman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0.